Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome to our Shabbat service here at Temple Shalom Emeth. I'm Ben Silver, cantorial soloist, and I have with me my musician friend, Mr. Sheldon Cooperman, whom I love playing with, and he's going to help me out on a lot of the songs that we sing tonight. And we'd like to start off with a song to get us in the mood for Shabbat. It's called Holy Ground. If you know it, I hope you'll sing along. 1, 2, 3. Every second, every minute, every hour, every day, everything, everyone, every place, every way, where you walk, where you stand, where you love, where you pray. All of life is holy ground.
Every he, every she, every what, every who. It's in her, it's in them, it's in me, it's in you. In the bitter, in the sweet, in the calm, in the storm. All of life is holy ground.
So walk as if it's holy ground. Breathe as if it's all around. Talk and make a
holy sound.
Shoes off, you're on holy ground. When you hurt, when you heal, when you laugh, when you pray, when you hold and when you keep, when you give it away.
Every second, every minute, every hour, every day. All of life is holy ground.
So walk as if it's holy ground. Breathe as if it's all around. Talk and make a holy sound. Take your shoes off, you're on holy ground. We are one journey, one story, one tapestry we weave. One people, one glory, one legacy we leave. Every second, every minute, every hour, every day, everything, everyone, every place, every way, where you walk, where you stand, where you love, where you pray. All of life is holy ground. All of life is holy ground. And now, I think we'll try to liven things up with one more song. I think you know this, and the passage is in your prayer books in many different pages, and I'm not sure which one it is, but the song is Romamu. And I think you know enough to sing along with me on this. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu Ishtachavu Lehar Kodsho. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu Ishtachavu Lehar Kodsho. Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romamu. Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romamu. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu Ishtachavu Lehar Kodsho. Page 367. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu Ishtachavu Lehar Kodsho. Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romamu. Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romamu. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu Ishtachavu Lehar Kodsho. Romamu Lehad Kodsho.
Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
I'm Rabbi Susan Abramson, also coming to you from the sanctuary of Temple Shalom Emeth in Burlington, Massachusetts. And it's been quite a week this week. So many things have happened that I think we really, really need Shabbat even more this week. First of all, COVID is back on the rise again, and more of our kids are coming down with it, including people related to kids who are part of our religious school community, public school kids. So that's disheartening. And then this week we had a swastika was discovered in the Marshall Simons Middle School here in Burlington, and I've been spending, I would say, most of this week relating to the heads of the public schools, meeting with the superintendent and the principals and our new diversity coordinator to discuss strategies for how to respond to that incident. And of course, it's not just one swastika that was found in a boy's bathroom in a ceiling tile, but it has lots of ripples out into the community, and it's a trigger for a lot of people who have experienced anti-Semitic incidents, both for kids in the schools and for the parents as well. So there are lots of moving pieces to that. So that's been a stress this week. And this afternoon we had the verdict in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, and that was, in my opinion, a travesty. And so that's raised lots of feelings about white privilege and just the divide within our country and how much we are separated from one another politically, socially, and on many different levels. So with all of that in mind and more, I think it's time for us to take a big, deep breath and let all those stresses out as we prepare to celebrate Shabbat, a time when we are not supposed to think about our problems, but to think about our blessings. And so with that, we're going to continue by lighting the lights, special lights of Shabbat, which you may find on pages 120 and 121. I'd like to invite Ellen Finkelman to come on up and light the candles for us this evening.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen, 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 amen.
And now that we have lit the lights of Shabbat, we're going to continue with the singing of Lecha Dodi, welcoming the Sabbath bride, which you may find on page 138.
Lecha Dodi, לקראת כלה, בני שבת לקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת לקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, תשמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, ושם ותפארת ולתפילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. תעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורי קומי אורי. אורי, אורי, שדברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה וצהולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי כלה, בואי כלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. בני שבת נקבלה.
And now that we've concluded our Kabbalat Shabbat, or our service of welcoming Shabbat, we continue now with the next section of our service called the Shema and its blessings, the Shema Uvirchoteha, which you may find on page 146. We rise in body or spirit for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship. Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due, now and forever.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamavorach. Baruch Adonai Hamavorach Leolam Va'ed.
Page 148. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim B'chochma Poteach She'arim Uvitvuna Mishaneh Itim Umachalif et Hazmanim Umasader et HaKochavim B'mishmerotehem Barakia Kirtzono Borei Yom V'Laila Golel Or Mipnei Choshech V'Choshech Mipnei Or Uma'avir Yom Umevi Laila Umavdil Ben Yom Uvein Laila Adonai Tzvaot Shemo El Chai V'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. Top of page 149 together. Praise to you, Adonai our God. from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way in which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim, page 150.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu lemadita Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachvenu uvkumenu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei toratecha uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki him chayinu v'yorech yameinu uvahem nege yomam v'layla nege yomam v'layla v'yahavadcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael ohev amo Yisrael.
Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people, Israel. Continue on pages 152 and 153 with the Shema, the watchword of our Jewish faith, our prayer of unity with each other and with God. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
Please be seated. We continue the V'ahavta on page 154.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam B'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shachbecha uv'kumecha uv'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot ben enecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'isharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני Adonai Elohechem.
We read together in English. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God, Adonai Elohechem Emeth. Now we continue with the Michamocha prayer, the prayer that the Israelites sang when they crossed the Red Sea to freedom from Pharaoh's grip on page 158.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים. זה אלי ענו ואמרו, זה אלי ענו ואמרו. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
Now we continue with the Hashkivenu prayer, asking God to spread over us a shelter of peace, which we all feel like we need right now, on page 160.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right.
And now we continue with a traditional song, Vishamru, on page 162. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אוהי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים
עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
And that concludes the second section of our service, and we will go on to the third section called the Tefillah, which literally means the prayer. And it's the time when we pray directly to God and thank God for being the God of our ancestors, the God who brings us strength, and the God who brings us peace. Page 164, please rise in body or spirit.
Anananananana Adonai, Ananananana Sfatai Tiftach, Ananananana Ufi Yagid, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Ananananana Adonai, Ananananana Sfatai Tiftach, Ananananana Ufi Yagid, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Ananananana Adonai, Ananananana Sfatai Tiftach, Ananananana Ufi Yagid, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Ananananana Adonai, Ananananana Sfatai Tiftach, Ananananana Ufi Yagid, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Ananananana Adonai, Ananananana Sfatai Tiftach, Ananananana Ufi Yagid, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Turn to page 166. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei V'nehem, L'ma'an Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer, umoshia umagin. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Page 168. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechaye hakol atah rav lehoshia. Mechalkel chayim bechesed, mechaye hakol berachamim rabim. Sohomech nahoflim verofei choholim, umatihir asurim, umkayim emunato lishenei afar. Michamocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, melech mimit, umchaye, umatzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman ata lehachayot ahakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol. Page 170. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom, yehallelu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Please be seated. We read together on the top of page 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Continue on page 178 with the singing of Shalom Rav, a song for peace.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol et u'v'chol sha'a b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom. We now continue with the Misha Berach Get Well prayer on page 371. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. This evening we think in particular of Judy Wasserman and Bob Eisenstein, and at this time if there are others you would like us to keep in our hearts and our minds, you may say their names aloud or in your hearts as I look around the room.
David Gogan,
We think of all of those who are continuing to suffer from the COVID virus in hospitals and at home, in our country, in our town, around the world. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with a compassion for all of their health to be restored and all of their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send all of them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us say, Amen.
Mi sheberach avotenu mekor habracha laimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha la'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
And now that we've shown our support for those who are in need of our support, and we've thought about those who really need our hearts and our minds to progress on their healing, we continue with the Shehachianu prayer, thanking God for enabling us to reach this special moment. And every week we think about all the things we have to be grateful for, and that's really what Shabbat is all about. As I said before, it's a time when we think about all of the blessings in our lives and just the fact that we survived to this moment, and everything that we have in our life, which is a blessing. And I'll ask you in a moment for things that you feel that you're grateful for this evening. One thing I wanted to start off with was Julius Jones, who was supposed to be executed this week, and he was on death row for a long time, and just this week his sentence was commuted because there was a preponderance of the evidence that he in fact did not commit the crime that he was accused of. So a lot of people spent a lot of time and effort helping him get to this moment. So I'm grateful that happened. I also have to say that I'm grateful to the Burlington public school officials who've really stepped up to the plate and taken the anti-Semitic incidents in town very, very seriously, and are doing everything that they can to help improve the situation for everybody and other people.
I'm grateful for my family and things going along well. I had a review at work today, and that seemed to go fairly well. So
Excellent.
just grateful.
We're grateful for Ben's good review at work and his family and all of that. Who else? Ellen.
I'm grateful for technology that my grandson in South Africa can use his Kindle with my library card in Bedford, and he reads about 2 or 3 books a week now.
So Ellen is grateful for her grandson in South Africa who was able to use his Kindle to, believe it or not, be able to access library books in the Bedford Public Library, which he is now devouring on his Kindle from halfway around the world. Excellent. Val.
Oh, I'm grateful that my son, daughter-in-law, and baby first grandchild will be coming for Thanksgiving, and that hasn't happened in a couple of years now. And I'm also grateful to be back in the sanctuary. I always enjoyed your virtual I really like being back in the sanctuary.
Thank you. So Val is grateful that her son, daughter-in-law, and sweet baby James, her grandson James, are going to be coming up here for Thanksgiving and joining her at her house for the first time. Well, first time ever for James,
Yeah.
but the whole family is coming up to be together, and she's also grateful for the ability to be back in our sanctuary. Despite the fact that she enjoys virtual services, she feels that there's a special additional meaning to her to be able to be here in person. Anybody else?
I'm grateful that my daughter invited me on a daddy-daughter road trip to look at colleges over the last week. Something we haven't really had an opportunity to do for a few years, and it was just a very nice and rewarding experience and a good bonding experience for us. And I'm also grateful to get invited to come here and play tonight. I haven't had the opportunity to play with Ben in a long time. It's very nice.
Excellent. So Sheldon, well, first of all, we're grateful to have Sheldon here, who's added a lot to the service, but he's also grateful to be here to play with Ben, which he hasn't done for a really long time. And but particularly, he's grateful that he just returned from a road trip with his daughter Sydney to look at colleges, and it was a wonderful bonding experience for the two of them, which they haven't had a chance to do that for a long time. So that's a special memory that I'm sure both of them will have for a very long time. Richard.
I'm happy for the opportunity to go to Baltimore to spend Thanksgiving with our son and daughter-in-law.
So Richard's grateful for the opportunity to go to Baltimore to spend Thanksgiving with his son and daughter-in-law. And I'm going to be grateful for the opportunity not to have to repeat everything everybody says into the camera one of these months or years. But anybody else? Okay, then I also just wanted to add that it's the season of Thanksgiving, so we all have to begin to get into the Thanksgiving spirit and be thankful for food on our table and health and well-being and community, our supportive community. So with all of that, we're going to sing the Shehechianu prayer, thanking God for enabling us to reach this joyous occasion.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh
Pause for a moment of silent prayer. We now continue with the singing of Oseh Shalom, another song for peace, which you may find on page 180.
This is a different version of Oseh Shalom from the one we often do here, but I hope you might have heard it before, and I hope you'll pick it up and sing along with me. I'm going to get the words out, which I meant to do. Not the words, but the phrasing. say shalom, shalom bimromav. Uyase shalom aleinu. V'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Uyase shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Amen. Oh, say shalom, shalom bimromav. Uyase shalom aleinu. V'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. V'al kol Yisrael amen.
Well, Shabbat Shalom again, everybody. I just wanted to say a couple of words about this week's Torah portion. There's a lot to unpack this week as there was last week. First of all, this Torah portion is called Vayishlach. It's begins in the 32nd chapter of the book of Genesis, and Vayishlach means, and he sent. And it starts off by Jacob sending a note or a message to his brother Esau. Jacob and Esau, as you remember, were estranged after Jacob stole Esau's birthright, and they haven't seen each other. Jacob had run away, he got married, he had two wives, Rachel and Leah. He lived with his father-in-law Laban, and now he's on his way to meet his brother Esau. He's really, really worried. He's really scared about it. To me, this is the perfect Torah portion for Thanksgiving and families getting together, and people who are estranged members of families getting together, and people who have all different kinds of levels of relationship with their families. This is the quintessential dysfunctional family that we have. It seems with every level of our ancestors. So he knows that Esau is out there, that they're going to actually come into contact with each other. He's really worried, and he sends a messenger, which either was an angel or a servant, somebody, and asking, just kind of finding out to get a little intel about how Esau is feeling about him, so he knows what he's up against, because he fears that Esau is going to retaliate against him. It's gonna get ugly. So he at one point he crosses over the Yabok River, and he sends his whole entourage ahead of him. He sends his wives, his children, everybody who's with them, cattle, possessions, and they cross the river together, and then he sends them going forward, and then he's alone. He ends up being alone, and he falls asleep, and while he's sleeping, he has this dream or image that there is a stranger, a man. It says Ish in the Hebrew, but somebody in his dream is wrestling with him, and they're wrestling, and it says, just want to read a little. Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the break of dawn. When he saw that he had not prevailed against him, he wrenched Jacob's hip at its socket, so that the socket of his hip was strained as he wrestled with him. Then he said, "Let me go, for dawn is breaking." But he answered, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." Said the other, "What is your name?" He replied, "Jacob." Said he, "Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with the beings divine and human, and have prevailed." And so this to me, like, this is the origin of the name Israel, Yisrael. So our ancestor Jacob, his name was changed at this point to Yisrael, which means that he strove with God, or he tangled with God, and the essence is that he prevailed. And so we think about, to me, this is so relevant, because we think about, first of all, internally, all the ways in which we're internally struggling right at this moment, and I know one way in which I'm struggling is just getting through every single day. I don't know how to be anymore. I really don't. I had somebody over at my house earlier. Do I put my mask on? Do I take my mask off? Somebody who was helping to fix something in the house. When I communicate with people, I'm taking my mask off, putting my mask on. I'm like struggling with myself. How comfortable am I with others around me? How comfortable am I in my own security, about my own safety? And that's something that I never had to struggle with before. And this has only come on during the pandemic. And I also struggle with how to deal with other people in these times on other levels. This week, dealing with all the administrators of the Burlington school system. How should I be with them? How should I react to them? How should I present myself to them? Should I be this way? Should I be that way? There are lots and lots of internal struggles that I think every one of us have, and particularly at this moment, as we're about to be reunited with members of our family who we might have not have seen for a long time. Who are we, and who are we in relationship to them? So there's a lot of struggle. There's a lot of striving, and so there's quite a bit to think about. And the moral of this story, I think, is that Jacob got a new name, and I think symbolically, every one of us kinds of gets a new sense of our own name as we move forward in our lives. So the story with Jacob has a happy ending. He does reunite with Esau after this internal struggle, and they hug and they kiss and they make up, and all of Jacob or Yisrael's worries were for naught. And that's my wish for everybody, for all of you, is that you get through all the struggles that you are experiencing internally and externally, and that on this Thanksgiving we have some resolution in our lives, and that we're made stronger people by the fact that we were able to overcome all of these different levels of struggle. So with that, I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And now we're going to continue our service with the Aleinu, which you may find on page 586. Please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. You may be seated, and please join me at the top of page 588. שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגבהי מרומיים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כהטוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, והארץ מתחת, אין עוד. Let's turn to page 591 and join me in our singing of Bayom Hahu. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. אחד ושמו אחד. אחד ושמו אחד.
We now continue our service with the Kaddish, with the introduction to the Kaddish, which you may find on page 599. We think now of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at the season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. We recall those whose yahrzeits or anniversary of whose deaths occur this week: Samuel Cohen, Daniel David Gruber, B.J. Lifton, Eleanor Gordon. And at this time, if there are others whose names you'd like us to keep in our hearts and our minds, we prepare to recite the Kaddish prayer. You may say their names aloud as I look around the room or out there or in your hearts. We think also of all of those who have died of COVID during this past week or this past month. Zichronam livracha, may all of their memories be for a blessing. We rise and body your spirit to recite the Kaddish prayer on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei rabbah, b'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'yizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam olmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudasha barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushpechata v'nechemata, damiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to our country, to all Israel and all the world, as we say together, amen. You may be seated. And now just a couple of quick announcements. First of all, it's going to be Thanksgiving, and the other thing I spent the rest of my week doing this past week was putting together not one but two interfaith Thanksgiving services, two videos, one for the town of Burlington and one for the town of Billerica. So I'm going to be sending out the links to both of those services. They're on my YouTube channel, Spiritually Speaking. Right now they're unlisted because I wanted to put them on, make them public more closer to the time, but we're also going to send them out to the congregation, I think on Monday. And next week we're going to have a pre-recorded service, or maybe a live stream service. We'll see,
Yeah.
maybe. We'll see. It'll be a surprise. And then we've got Hanukkah coming up a week from Sunday, incredibly. So we already have our giant Hanukkah menorah outside in front of the front door of the temple, and that's thanks to Alex Markle, who created this amazing menorah for us last year. It's out there again, and thank you to Andy Rittenberg, who repainted it so that it looks as good as it can be. And so every night of Hanukkah, we're going to be here at 7 p.m. To light the Hanukkah menorah. And anybody can come any evening that they want. Just if you can let me know, it would be good so that we have a sense of who's coming each night. And we're going to live stream it The first night we're going to do have a Zoom candle lighting for everybody. Not sure how that's going to go when I'm out there lighting the menorah. But we're going to try to have a Zoom the first night, and then every subsequent night we're going to live stream it. We're going to light the candles, and maybe Ben will be able to be there sometimes, and so we can sing. We can sing without you, but it's nicer to sing with you. So stay tuned for that. And anybody else have any other announcements? All right, well then I would like to invite Richard to come on up and lead us in the English introduction of the Kiddush on page 122. And thank you, Sheldon, again for enriching our Shabbat experience this evening along with Ben.
The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kadesho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh, zecher litziat mitzrayim, ki vanu v'charta yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha Yahava uvratzon inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh hashabbat. Amen.
Thank you. And now we're going to continue with the motzi. Val and Ellen, why don't you come up? Val because she's sponsoring the Oneg Shabbat this evening, and Ellen because she, as always, has baked challah for all of us for after the service.
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, we give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together, as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Thank you. And I just had actually two more very, very quick things to say. First of all, one thing I forgot to tell you I was thankful for is that we have a new group in our temple called our Temple Teens Mitzvah Club. And they are going to do a mitzvah every month for a different individual or group. And this month they are gathering 25 backpacks filled with different items to present to teens who are homeless or in the process of transitioning to foster homes. So if anybody here or out there is willing to help donate to this cause, I think it's extremely worthy, and I'm really, really proud of them. So we need 25 new backpacks. I'm not going to remember everything, but we're going to fill them with snacks and essentials that teens need, because these are kids who have absolutely nothing. So we need hair brushes, toothbrushes, and reusable water bottles. And I forget there are a couple of other items as well. Sorry, I can't think of them. I should have had the list right. Oh, I do have the list right here. Hats, mittens or gloves and socks. And yeah, that was it. So if anybody can donate any of those items, we would love to have them. And it would be extremely meaningful for those teens and a real mitzvah for all of us to do.
Where should we bring them to donate?
Just bring them to the temple. Email me, or if you're out there on Facebook, just private message me. We need them by December, the Sunday, the last Sunday of Hanukkah, or December 10th. I think actually December 10th. We need them by December 10th, and then we're going to bring them to where they need to go on December 15th. And the other thing I just wanted to quickly mention is that Sheldon once again is sponsoring our Christmas Day volunteering. And do you want to say a word about that?
Sure.
We have to do it from over here.
So as we did last year, we're going to do deliveries again this year. Unfortunately, the Billerica Senior Center is still not comfortable having people come and gathering together. This year it's going to be on Thursday, December 23rd, because the holiday falls on a Saturday and the Senior Center is closed on Friday. We're going to do our deliveries on Thursday. If you can help out on Thursday to come to the temple roughly around noon or 1 o'clock to pick up some deliveries, to bring them to the seniors, mostly in the Billerica area, please email me. My email is in the temple bulletin, but it's also sheldon.cooperman@gmail.com, and just let me know. And unfortunately, last year we depleted all of our financial resources putting together that delivery. And so we're actually looking for donations. If anybody would be interested in donating, you can make a check out to the temple. Just put somewhere on the check and on the envelope that it's for the Christmas Day dinner, and that would also be greatly appreciated. Thanks.
Thank you. And we actually have an anonymous donor who came forward last night to say that everything that everybody donates towards that dinner, that person will match that amount of money. So there we go. And our closing song.
For our closing song, we'd like to do another joyous version of the Bayom Hahu. It has some extra words in it. It's something that we used to do with the temple band quite often, and we'd like to do it now. Bayom Hahu. 2, 3, 4. Though the time be far, I know that come it will, when each nation shall each other bless, peace the earth shall fill. God shall reign over the earth on that day. God shall be one, and your name it shall be one. Bayom Hahu, yeah, Adonai echad u'shmo echad. Bayom Hahu, yeah, Adonai echad. And on that dawn of peace we'll smash the spear of war, and everyone beneath their vine and fig will be afraid no more. God shall reign over the earth on that day. God shall be one, and your name it shall be one. Bayom Hahu, yeah, Adonai echad u'shmo echad. Bayom Hahu, yeah, Adonai echad. And it shall come to pass that peace is what we'll find, and then we'll join our hands with everyone across the borderline. God shall reign over the earth on that day. God shall be one, and your name it shall be one. Hayod Ahu Yeh Adonai Echad U'Shmo Echad Hayod Ahu Yeh Adonai Echad.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.